Welcome back, everyone, and I hope you had a good lunch. Okay, we now begin the third part of today's fellowship, titled Decode the Code, part two of a broader series. This session will be conducted in the form of a panel discussion with our learned lawyers, where we will dive deeper into important legal aspects, clarify doubts, and better understand rights, responsibilities, and practical realities connected to our systems. To guide this panel discussion, we have a very experienced moderator with us today. It is my honor to introduce Advocate Siola Vaz. Advocate Vaz is a highly qualified legal practitioner with 12 years of legal practice in Goa and Mumbai, and she holds an LLM degree. Her experience spans across a wide range of legal matters, including criminal law, constitutional law, company and commercial disputes, and consumer matters, and she has represented more than 100 clients in various courts and tribunals. She has handled matters before the trial courts, the High Court, and also before quasi judicial bodies, including consumer fora, with a strong legal knowledge and practical experience. She brings valuable insight into rights, remedies, and legal frameworks, making her an ideal person to moderate and guide today's discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm round of applause as we welcome Advocate Siola Vaz as our moderator for this session. Thank you. We now begin by introducing our first panelist for this session. It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Nelson Joe Fernandez. Mr. Fernandez has served as the attorney of the Comunidades of Asagaum for 3 terms and brings with him valuable practical experience in Comunidad-related matters. He also has an impressive academic background, holding qualifications including an MSc, an MA, an LLM, MBA, and also in pharmacy. Professionally, he has been a pharmaceutical distributor for the past 26 years, not forgetting that he was also an ex-cop with the Mumbai police, giving him strong experience in administration, management, and practical working knowledge. We are honored to have him on this panel today, and we look forward to his insights and contribution to the discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm round of applause as we welcome Mr. Nelson Joe Fernandez. Our next panelist is a well-known Goan advocate who strongly believes in standing for truth and fairness. It is my pleasure to introduce Advocate Aurobindo Gomes Pereira. Advocate Pereira is a proud Goan and a committed voice for justice. Through his work and dedication to the legal profession, he continues to uphold the values of laws, rights, and accountability. We are honored to have him with us today as part of this panel discussion, and we look forward to his valuable insights and contribution. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome Advocate Aurobindo Gomes Pereira. Our next panelist is a young yet highly dedicated advocate with strong experience in civil laws, especially those applicable in Goa. It is my pleasure to introduce Advocate Peter Anthony Fernandez. Advocate Peter specializes in inventory law, the Portuguese Civil Code, property law, and other important areas of civil practice. He began his legal journey under the guidance of Dr. Iris Pint Furtad. He completed his LLB with honors in 2015 and today has 10 years of professional experience successfully guiding clients through complex legal matters with practical and strategic legal advice. He is well respected for his analytical approach, ethical standards, and commitment to justice. Apart from his legal career, Advocate Peter is also a sportsman and has represented his college at the university level and enjoys playing basketball and other sports. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and let us welcome Advocate Peter Anthony Fernandez.
From whatever we have already discussed, some of those things can be handled by our guest expert speakers here. But first, we'll just look into what the code tells us, what is the code and what the code allows us to do. Now, this Comunidad Code of Comunidades, is a legislation which is very different from so much else that we see in India and in Goa. The language is quite different. The setup of even the sentences is different. And also the rights it gives us are quite unique. In fact, when you do come across the code and when you read through it, a lot of questions would arise in your mind. How similar and dissimilar it is to our present panchayats. How similar and dissimilar it is to your system of land revenue. So these questions do pop up, but even if we don't give those questions and that kind of thought process time, we can still look into what the code purely tells us. And for that, we have our eminent speakers. Today, as I have been asked to, we are only going to cover the main composition of the Comunidades, that is what it constitutes, what it is comprised of, who are the people who head Comunidades, what is their job, what is the job of the Comunidad, what is the job of the managing committee, and in what way, just briefly though, in what way these Comunidades assist our villages and shape our lives as well. So over here we have, for today's discussion, Chapter 2. Chapter 2, which is sections 1 to sections 7, which includes the members of the Comunidades, the powers of the Comunidades, meetings of the Comunidades, that is how the meetings, etc. take place, although most of you are coming from Comunidades, so already you are familiar. Then the managing committee, then the attorney, clerks, treasurer, and also maybe what is theoretical right now, the safe and the key holders, that is the actual physical safe where your title documents and your cash or other things, valuables would be. So first we will have our senior most panelist, Advocate Nelson. Maybe you could throw, sorry? Yes. Mr. Nelson, you could throw some light for our audiences on the membership of Comunidades. Who are the persons who are members of a Comunidad? It is not for me to ask the questions, of course they also know, but if you could tell us the difference between, say, shareholders, zonkars, components, and other persons in a Comunidad, as well as the persons who can acquire shares, persons who can alienate shares. If you could tell us briefly about membership of a Comunidad.
Good afternoon, everybody. The first thing is there are three types of components, as they call in the Comunidades. I think all of us are already aware of the three types of Comunidades, but I'll just spell it out here. The first is zonkar, okay? And the zonkar is the person, or the zonero is always acquires that kind of title only because by his birth he's become a component of the Comunidad. Now, many of the Comunidades in Goa, they have only zoneros. Some Comunidades have only shareholders, which I'll come to. And some Comunidades have a mix of both, zoneros as well as shareholders. So the first category that comprises any given Comunidad can be a zonero. The second category is the shareholder, which how did the shareholder actually come up? You know, in the ancient times, many of these Comunidades, they were a self-sustaining society, and they required a number of people to assist them in the functioning of the village. As you know, the Comunidades were the controlling body of all the villages, and all the land that was there was under the supervision of the Comunidad, the attorney, the president, and the treasurer. So the three people that were there was the president, who is to kind of, administer the Comunidad. The attorney would be dealing with the land parcels of the Comunidades, and the treasurer, of course, would be the ones collecting the taxes or the produce from the land that the Comunidades is to get when the tenants or the workers is to produce. So the shareholders were the one who assisted the comunidades, and they got paid in the form of shares. And so each of these shares had a certain value which the comunidades used to give these shareholders. There is also a third component where certain people who used to be there in the comunidad helping them for administrative work or some other specific work, they were also entitled to the produce of the comunidad, or the total value that the comunidad got. They would have a certain percentage of that. After the comunidad would calculate the entire earnings for the specific year, they would declare a dividend to these people, and these people were given. So there are basically three components in the comunidad. One is the zoneros, second is the shareholders, and the third are these components who would be given a certain margin, a certain percentage of the entire value of the produce for the year.
Well, now that is when it, with regards to right of birth, and when you're born in a particular village or particular comunidad, then you become a part of that comunidad, but of course upon registration. So what must one do as soon as a baby is born? What is the manner in which they would go about registering? Or is it something that maybe only a clerical person would be able to tell us?
No. What happens is when a kind of zonero is born to a pre-existing zonero, the younger zonero at the age of 12 or 14, as the comunidad specified, they would have to be enrolled. Okay, and this enrollment would take place on a certain time of the year, that is specifically as per what the comunidad is to decide. They would kind of enroll them with their birth certificates and the proof that they are the offsprings of certain zoneros. Once that proof was established, then they would be entered in the books. Okay, and these enrollment books were then sort of, signed by the attorney, and the books were sent to the administrator. So there would be a record of the zoneros in those books also. So this is how it is. So you have now these zoneros were people who were born naturally, or they were legitimately adopted also by the zonerias in case of the fact that there were no offsprings that were born to the zoneros biologically. So this is how it is. And then once their name is entered, then every single year when the zone is being dispensed to these zonerios after the age of 14, or in some cases age of 12 also, depending on the comunidad, they would after that have to come and write their name for the zone of the next year. That means if the registration can take place at the age of 14, but then if they have to collect the zone for a specific year, let's say we are talking about 2026, so the registration of the zone has to be done in 2025. So if an individual collects his zone for the year of 2025, he has to write in that in the book for his future year of collection of zone. And these books then are sent to the administrator in the month of July, and they are kind of registered. How when we have a budget for a year of a specific comunidad, we calculate all the zonorias and the shareholders who have been registered for the forthcoming year, and that is how we come to know the amount of zone that we have to disburse for them. And we put it in our budget and get it approved by the administrator, and only on the basis of that then we are authorized to draw those checks to pay our zonerias and our shareholders.
Thank you very much, sir. And I would like Advocate Aurobindo to take the next question, which will be regarding shareholders. Now we have, of course, now we know already zonkars, zonerios, and we know that there are shareholders. How might someone who is not belonging to a comunidad acquire shares, or how is this alienation and acquisition, how does it take place?
So the shareholders are people who buy shares. Now if you look at the code has a very broad and, sorry, am I audible now? So if you're looking at the code, it has a very liberal policy with regard to shares. So you can issue shares. It's a method. Now, if you're looking at the shares, there's no specific procedure as to who can and who cannot. So the objective is to ensure that anybody can pick up a share. There is no restriction on transfer of the share, and this is perhaps something that you'll need to perhaps consider, because in the code itself there's only a process by which you endorse it on the back and certain documentation that needs to be filed with the administrator, and you transfer the share. It's a lot more liberal to transfer a share of a comunidad than it would be for even a company for that matter. And therefore this is a concern, because a shareholder has the same rights equal to that of a jonero or a component by birth, sharing blood. And therefore this is a system where, one, you can liberalize and introduce those that have been otherwise excluded, and therefore make your process a little more democratic, or two, you can try to regulate who gets that share. Because as of today, in the code, there's no restriction. I know this was a concern raised in the first session that you all had, and that's why it's a question today. But there is no restriction, there is no limitation. Anyone can buy a share. I don't need to be a Gaunkar, I don't need to be a Jonero, I don't even need to be a Goan or an Indian to buy that share. And if you are thinking of any amendments, this is an amendment to suggest, because this is an opportunity for you to control who gets to participate in your processes. I think the issue of a share is really smart, because it allows your institution to be hybrid, a little more flexible, raise revenue when you require it, bring in expertise and consultants that would otherwise not be part of your village economy. But you can bring in these consultants, these experts into your fold, issue a share, but regulate how your share is being transferred. Because as of today, the process is liberal, it's open, without restrictions or limitations, except that there's a procedure prescribed within the code itself, a simple endorsement on the back, or certain documentation filed with the approval of the administrator. That's the only embargo that is there on a share.
Dr. would you, in a second, Dr. would you also then tell us whether it would be possible to in fact discriminate against someone at the time that maybe they would like to purchase a share? Could you, since there is no rule or there is no structure to it, could you also bring in some kind of admission rules? Could a village decide that? Could a comunidad decide that?
First, I don't think I qualify for the title Dotor. But nonetheless, I think this is an interesting question, because if you are introducing limitations, you're basically going to touch upon Article 14 of our Constitution. All law needs to be in compliance with the Constitution of India. And the Constitution very precisely says in Article 14, equality and equality before the law. So if I was amending law, equality. Number two, Article 15 specifically prohibits discrimination on any basis. It's broad: caste, religion, creed, various objectives. But here is a fundamental feature of who is going to participate in your Gaunkari system. Who is going to be able to voice an opinion at your meetings? Who's going to be able to vote at these meetings is a matter of concern. And therefore, if your Gaunkari is to be concerned with Gaunkar's issues, then perhaps some restriction might be necessary today, because there is a lot of interest in shares. There are a lot of people looking to enter your Gaunkaris through shares. And therefore, if you are looking at any amendments, I say this again, meet, discuss, find a way where you can regulate the system without violating Article 14, without violating Article 15, because that might be a concern for you in the days to follow. So please think about it.
So presently we don't have any rules governing this, but the right of admission would entirely depend on a particular comunidad, how they would deem fit. And if a private individual would come in to purchase shares, based on absolutely no rule presently whatsoever, but otherwise on their own discretion, they can either say yes or no.
Look at the process right now. The process is very simple. Endorse it on the back of the share certificate. If that's not possible, submit an application to your comunidad. Who will consider it as your clerk and your attorney? If there's a difference in opinion between the clerk and attorney, it gets referred to your managing committee. Then the managing committee takes a decision. If that decision is if you're unhappy with that decision, it goes to your administrator of Comunidades. Within 10 days, you file your appeal. The process is there. There's a check. But you can't say just because you're not from Goa, or you're not from my village, or you're not a person I like, that I'm going to reject your application for the transfer. There is no limitation in law. There is no restriction today. And it was meant to invite people in. It was meant to bring investment in, to bring brains into the organization. But it has today the potential for misuse, is what I believe. I'm obviously subject to correction from you experts sitting in the audience.
Then, Advocate, we will first let all the speakers speak and then
Yes,
let
there
the
might be a
audience
difference
speak.
of opinion here. And I hope there is.
Yes. So, Advocate, also, then is it possible for a private person who already does hold shares, now we'll have Advocate Peter speak, a private individual who does hold shares, can they directly trade in these shares? Can they directly sell these shares without the process which Advocate Aurobindo just now spoke of?
See, the shareholders, actually they don't have that much right as that of a Gaunkar. We're trying to say that they're equal, but there is a discrimination over there. The shareholders are not like the Gaunkars over there. So, but there is a bar. You cannot sell. You cannot sell your shares. They can give it to anybody. As Aurobindo also said, the shares can be given to anybody they want. And there is complete freedom over there to who they want to give their share to. So if you how do I put this? You cannot sell it. There
Is it a
bar.
private transaction?
Yeah, even in a private. See, you cannot do anything without the consent of the Comunidad. The Comunidad is involved. Even if you see for the sale of property, even if the Comunidad gives a property to anybody, to anybody, a Gaunkar or anybody, they can give property to third person also. But they cannot sell it. And you cannot sell it without the consent of the Comunidad. There is no sale. So that is prohibited. It's not possible according to me.
We had some hands in the audience. Yes. You can give him the mic, please.
Now, when it comes to our institution, at the time of liberation of Goa, it was in 62, whatever it is, we did not incorporate the constitution of Comunidad. As far as the constitution is concerned, constitution was framed in 47. We were not part of this constituent assembly, nor anybody of ours, made suggestion to this constitution. So invoking the constitution upon us, which we were not aware of, nor any arrangements have been made to incorporate the code of the Comunidad to protect our institution. How do you talk about this constitution at this stage? Some sort of arrangement should have been made, no? Like in Pondicherry, there were treaties signed, and those people, got double twin citizenship in France as well as, Pondicherry. They protected their language, they protected their lands, and various other things. What protection we got at the time of liberation to say that constitution we imposed upon us?
So I think I really like your question, and I've actually loved your entire energy throughout the day. But we can't say the constitution is imposed on us. We are Indian. It is because it is the law. Every country today requires law. Let's look at it from a very pragmatic point of view. Let's understand this, because by that same standard, the code of Comunidad is imposed on you. What right have you had to discuss about it? Were you consulted before the articles were drawn up? Do you have any say in whether 194 reads like this or 371 reads like that? You've had no say on that. You've had no say on the Contract Act, the TP Act, or any law for that matter. Even laws that are enacted now during your lifetime, what is your say in that? When they enact amendments to the Code of Comunidad, who consulted you? But let me come. because I like your question, I'm going. Precisely. And I love that you brought that up. Now, the Gaunkari system itself is a novation. Originally, we were not agrarian communities. We lived as pastoral nomads, hunting, gathering. The moment we decide to plow a field, I'm coming to that. And the moment you decided to stop hunting, the moment you decided to stop gathering, plow a field, raise a crop, harvest it, you started to build a community. The moment that community started to grow, the first thing you needed was law. Hence your codes come into play. Hence your customs and traditions have come into play. Hence this concept of a Gaunkari exists. It exists because law is necessary. Now what are you offended by? You are offended by Article 14 and Article 15. Article 14 allows equality. Look around you. We are unequal by itself. No man is as tall as the other, no woman is as short as the other. Or vice versa. We are unequal people, but we need to create equality. That's what the Constitution envisages. So that all of you, rich comunidades, poor comunidades, landed comunidades, small comunidades, can sit in the same room in equal space, with an equal voice. Otherwise, rich comunidades would dominate the poor comunidades. Majority Gaunkars would dominate the minority Gaunkars. It allows you to talk, madam, because 15 says no discrimination.
We'll continue. We'll continue with the discussion. We'll continue
Your
with the panel
issue
discussion.
is not with the Constitution. Your issue is with other things. And I agree with you, Pondicherry has a nice system. Look at the Northeast region, they've entered into better contracts where their customs and traditions have been respected. This is a concern for all Goans, those who are not Gaunkars, those who are not shareholders as well. And this is a concern for Goa, which we should all articulate. But it is not an issue of Gaunkari versus the Constitution of India. The Gaunkari falls within the Constitution, and the Constitution will help you in your battle, because when you have nowhere else to go, you will invoke 226. You will go to the High Court, and you will express your sincere and honest objections to what is happening. So when you think the Constitution is against you, I think wake up and realize that it is going to help you in your battle, if at all. If not, pick up a commentary and read the book a little better. And then maybe you might have a different opinion.
Thank you so much, Advocate.
If I could just add something.
Yes, please add.
See, we are all, you cannot say the Constitution, you don't agree with it, nothing. We are already part of India. That stage is gone. And if you are saying that it is taking away your right, the same Constitution has said that the Code of Comunidades is applicable in Goa. It's not been removed. It's still existing. It's protected. We are still living on the Code of Comunidades. So where is it affecting? So that bias or prejudice that the Constitution is against you should be out. It is actually because of the Constitution we still have a Comunidades system running. So just think about it in that way.
Who had said that, I don't get the gentleman's name. You said that, Luel. Mr. Luel, what nationality are you? No, what nationality? What nationality? Huh? No, nationality. I'm talking about nation. Which nation do you belong to? No. How can you belong to Goa? Goa is not a nation. Goa is a state. What nationality do you belong to? Madam, what nationality do you belong to? There in the green, this thing. Which nationality? No, that is not an answer. You are trying to evade the answer. You have to answer properly. Either you don't know, or you don't want to answer. What is it? No, how can you? That is not the answer. Nationality is when you belong to the nation. I am an Indian, I belong to India. Are you belonging to Kurtori? Do you have a president in Kurtori? Do you have a state administration in Kurtori? No. You're mistaken. It's the Comunidad president. It's not the president of Kurtori. What is your nationality? I'm telling you, you're still trying to evade the question. Mr. Luel, what is your nationality?
Yes. Okay, we'll proceed. I think it has reached
See,
reached a very
if you all are not answering my question, what right do you all have for me to answer your question?
Yes.
Luel,
Okay.
I, I,
No, I'm asking what nationality do you belong to? What is your nation?
good sir, good sir. I really appreciate because you brought out the really nicest thing that anyone has said today, and you said that the comunidades are republics. I think that's something that we all must understand. Because if each comunidad is a republic in itself, and if you look at the very beginning of this code, it says that the government will only be tutelage. Tutelage means what? Guide you, help you, assist you. So if you are concerned, if you are really affronted by what's happening, stand up. Be a republic in your republican space. I know you are, Madam. Kurtori is one of our proudest villages. The granaries of Goa, we love that village. But there are problems in Kurtori. There are problems in Shandor.
Yes. Now
Balor Tukan, Diyo Bore
now
Guru.
we will proceed. We'll proceed with the rest of the program,
But
please. Yes.
republicanism at the grassroots level.
We'll proceed with the rest of the program, please. Yes. Yes.
With all,
Thank you very much. We'll proceed with the rest of the program.
with all due respect to this session, okay, I request the audience not to ask any further questions, considering the time constraints that we have. Only after the panel discussion is complete will we open the questions to the audience, okay? I hope you respect that and appreciate it. Thank you. Because this is going a little bit on a tangent. Thank you.
Yes. For Mr. Nelson, then, is that zones get extinguished on the death of the zonekar, but only after the expiry of the year which he has been registered. Could you kindly explain, with the help of an example or otherwise an illustration, the latter part of this sentence? That is, could you tell us what is meant by that period of registration?
Yes, madam. The thing is, I don't know how many government employees are there here, but when there is a government employee and you're a central or a state government pensioner, you have to give your life certificate every October or November. If anybody is there here who's a pensioner, they'll agree with me that the government needs to know that you're still alive, and for that you have to give a life certificate, right? So when you give a life certificate, it shows that you are still alive and the pension is still, you are still eligible for the pension, okay? And if you don't give that life certificate, then you don't get your pension. There's an abrupt stop to your pension. So all government pensioners who are like people who are retired and are on government pension, they give a life certificate by October or November, and then they have the pension granted or given to them. It comes to their bank account and throughout the year. Now, if that pensioner passes off, he expires in the middle of the year, say he passes off in the month of August, okay? So, it is very important that his family goes and notifies the bank where the pension is coming. It's very important. And it has to be notified either in the beginning of September or in the mid of September or before the next pension comes into the account of the state or central pensioner. If you all do not notify that, then the government has its method of asking you to return the pension back. Now in the Comunidades system, when we distribute zone mostly in the month of March, April or May, or sometimes depending on the comunidad, they distribute it at any part of the year. Some comunidades I've heard distributed even in the month of September, October, depending on them. So what happens is, a Gaunkar who writes his name in the books that he is eligible to get zone for that year, okay? So he writes his name. Now let's say, I'm just taking an example of Asagaon. We normally distribute our zone in the month of April and May. So those people who come to collect their zone in the month of April, they write in the books that they are eligible for the next financial year, okay? And this next financial year starts from the month of May after they have received the current zone. Supposing this person is aged and he's deceased, he expires in the month of August, let's take for example's sake again. The entire, since he's written his zone in the book, he is eligible for that zone in the next year, that is April, May again. So if he is not there to collect his zone, then his family has a right to collect the zone on his behalf. Okay, see the contrast, like the pensioner, once he is deceased, ceases to get his next pension. But the zonekar or the gaonkar who is there in a specific comunidad, even if he is deceased during the year, his family is handed over the zone in the next year. Okay, so this is the uniqueness of the zone system. Of course, you cannot like compare a central or a state government pension to the amount of zone that you get. But I always felt that the zone is a privilege rather than the financial implications of getting some amount from your this thing. It's more of a privilege. You know, the money that you get in zone is worth its weight in gold because it's a heritage that is coming to us. So this is the distinguishing between a central government pensioner and a zonekar who is deceased in the month of August, for example's sake.
One more thing, though, which our organizers have brought to our notice, that there are numerous complaints by Gaunkars who have missed the annual enrollment for 1 year and have not received the zone despite enrolling in the subsequent years. What happens to these arrears? And I do believe that they get forfeited. What is your comment on that?
I'll take a classic example. We were there during COVID, you know, and many of us zonekars are older people who were really scared to venture out of their house during COVID. So at that time, we as a committee, see, we are all for our Gaunkars and our shareholders. So we were deciding as to how we are going to accommodate that. Because it is important that we, you know, they write their zone for the forthcoming year. And because this book goes to the administrator and he gets to know about the number of zonekars and the shareholders who are there, who are, eligible to collect zone for the next year. So what our thought process was that we do not want to deprive our Gaunkars or our shareholders for the annual zone that they get. So we devised a plan that we would ask them to send us a letter on WhatsApp that they can't come because of Corona or whatever. And we would print those letters and keep it with us as proof until such time when they themselves could come and sign on the books and, enroll for the next year also. With that, we were able to give zone to each and every of our person. And I think the entire decision solely depends on the management committee and the kind of funds they have, to take these kind of decisions where they facilitate the zone cars, and there should be no excuse for them to lose the kind of zone that they are getting.
I'll just take it to Advocate. Thank you, sir. I'll take it to Advocate Peter to juggle it up a little bit. We are speaking about shares, etc. So, or also zoneros. So, upon the death of a zonero, as now we are discussing inheritance, etc. If the zonero is without an heir who can actually succeed to this zone, that means if there is no male or if there is a female who has then got married. So, in such a scenario, what happens to that what happens to that zone of that zonero? How does it lapse, or what happens to it thereafter? And can it be traded in, or can it be transacted in some way? Can the share as such be given to any non-component?
See, when you're talking about inheritance, you'll have to follow the Portuguese civil code, because our inheritance law comes from there. And right now it's the Goa succession law. So if there is a person who has got a share from the Comunidad and he expires, you have to see, and you're saying there are no heirs. Technically, you have to file inventory proceedings.
Ineligibility
yes. You have to allot that asset or that share, and the heir becomes not the owner, but he gets allotted that share. But in a case where there is no heir, under the Succession Act, it says it goes to the government. So over there is a conflict. According to me, it should go back to the Comunidad. But if you're applying the Succession Act, it has to go to you. You have preferences. Any of the heirs, their ascendants, descendants, their collaterals. But if there is nobody, the land or whatever asset it is, it goes to the government. As per that.
So what happens in a situation where there is a legal disqualification? That is, you cannot be a member of the Comunidad for reason of ineligibility or legal disqualification. As I have earlier said, married daughters would not become members, become members by birth of a Comunidad. So if that is the heir that is left behind, then how would you treat that kind of membership?
See, that's why there is a conflict over there. The Comunidad is very male dominated. But if you go by the laws of inheritance and they say that the civil code applies, the Comunidad says for your procedure, the Portuguese civil code will apply. Over there, the wife succeeds. She's the heir. So she gets the share. You cannot say that. Because as per law, she gets a right over there. And
That's because she's a widow.
yes,
But say after that, then there is nobody else left in that family who
Okay.
there is no male person left in that family, and the daughters get married. Does that family then get excluded from being called a member of that Comunidad?
no, absolutely not. You have just taken a share. You will always be a member. You're a member by birth.
Gaunkar,
Sorry?
Gaunkar.
Gaunkars.
Gaunkars. They
Gaunkars.
will not be Gaunkars anymore.
No, there's no bar like that. You're just being allotted. So where is the problem of you being allotted an asset? So I don't think that applies.
And who in that scenario would collect the zone?
See, if the widow is alive, she gets the right to inheritance.
And after that?
And supposing she dies, then they'll have children. Supposing they don't have children, it will go to the siblings.
It will go
It will
go
keep-
in that line, in the inheritance
Yes.
line.
You are. Sorry. Yes, for that. It ends over there. On death. On
Let-
death.
We could.
Yeah.
If we could have,
Yes, but-
if we could have Mr. Nelson,
Yeah. Correct.
instead of the
But that's why I
comments
said
now,
there's a
instead
little
of the
conflict over there. That's why I was trying to say that there's a little conflict over there. Because what we are applying is the civil code. And the civil code gives a different procedure and different rights. Yes, but once you are in, correct. But now supposing I have to go and claim. The Comunidad has no right to, they'll ask you for a certificate. They ask you for your inheritance, you have to go to the inventory.
before
Yes.
before the comments,
Article 25, with Article 25 of the Code of Comunidad, if anybody expires, you have to file inventory and you have to show that you've been allotted those shares.
Yes.
Yes.
Before the comments, if we could have Mr. Nelson clarify on this point, just to elaborate on Advocate Peter's point.
Yes, madam. Your question was very pertinent. The thing is, once the Zonkar or the Gaunkar expires, it ceases his right or the family's right to collect any zone. If he has any female offsprings, like, if he has any daughters or the wife, there is a section in the code which says that you have widows who are eligible for zone. Okay, but other than that, the female members are not allowed any zone. And the male members obviously will become zone cars. So they will get their own part of the zone. But only once the boys start getting the zone, then the widows also are stopped. The general idea of this was that a Zonkar or a Gaunkar family has to be supported by the Comunidad. And because of this, once a aged Zonkar expires and his children are of minor age, that they are below the age of 14, okay, then the wife gets the zone up to a certain period where the sons are eligible to get the zones. Once the sons get the zone, then the wife loses her right to get any zone. And of course, the daughters of the zonekar, they are not eligible to get zone at all.
Thank you for highlighting that. In any case, do you, this is for Advocate Advocate Aurobindo.
May I just shake the basket a little bit for the previous question?
I wanted to shake the basket a little bit.
After you.
What is the benefit of having this system where the widow would be excluded after the minors would come of age?
So I think everyone's absolutely right, and I'm so happy all of you jumped up from your seats and said no, upon death it extinguishes. But there's a little bit of an interesting provision over here, and that's the proviso to Article 4. Now, if you're looking at zone, Article 4 very clearly says that if a Gaunkar dies during the year, his widow, his unmarried daughters, his minor children might ask to be inscribed to get that zone. So in this circumstance, you're contemplating not just this chauvinistic attitude where only men can be part of a comunidad, but you're seeing the widow step up, you're seeing the unmarried daughter step up. Now, if the unmarried daughter remains an unmarried daughter, she would be entitled to claim this zone because she has not left this community and joined another community. She must find a space within the community she lives. And therefore, there is a nice opportunity for us to open the door and say, unmarried daughters, unmarried sisters, come, Article 4 provides it. Seek enrollment, claim your zone. It might be difficult at first, but it is time for us to open our eyes, open our hearts, and obviously open our coffers to girls who are within our community. That's number one. Number two, there were two parts to that question. What happens to the zone if I don't collect it? And we are hearing that there are complaints that I'm being denied that zone. Now, Article 21 is absolutely clear. My right to the zone is predetermined. It is the duty of the managing committee to approximate that share and keep it aside for me to come and collect it. And I am entitled to come at any point of time because if you look at how zone is defined, zone is personal, zone is inalienable, and zone is impermissible. Means it does not become prescriptive. By efflux of time, I do not lose my right. The only embargo is in Article 21, subclause 3, which says if I do not collect it for 10 years, in essence, I'm sleeping over my rights for 10 years, then it gets prescriptive. And it gets credited not to any stranger, not to the comunidad, but in this case, it goes to the government. But here we are talking about a community. So if a member does not collect its zone or her zone for 1 year, 2 years, managing committees, please call up. Ask them, come and collect your zone. Protect your community members. Don't let it get prescriptive. Don't let it sit in the coffers for 10 years. Good, sir.
After the discussion is over, keep it in mind. Keep it in mind. Make a note of it. We'll do it because we are just about at the end of
Madam,
this.
I'll just want to add to this.
Yes, please.
The thing is, where we are on the point of the zone, I am very happy to say that in the last fellowship also, Asagaon Comunidad had made kind of a commitment, and we had a general body sometime last year where we took up this matter that we want to give zone to our unmarried daughters of the Gaunkar. And I had a lot of opposition from our own Gaunkars and our shareholders also. Okay, but we went ahead with it because we see ourselves as quite progressive and we have the money. And another thing that also worries me is the numbers, because our numbers are dwindling. So we want the girl child to be a part of the Comunidad and assist us in running the organization. There might be many male chauvinists who don't want the girls to be part of the organization, but I'm more worried about the future existence of the institution, and that is why our entire committee, headed by our president, took a decision to make sure that all unmarried daughters of Gaunkars who exist in the village should be given zone. Okay, and that was the thing.
That is heartwarming, sir. That is very heartwarming. In fact, it is progressive, though we can say that Article 15 and Article 14 are as old as 1950, and we should be having equality indeed. Yes, and Advocate Peter, there is one, since it is a specific question posed by our organizers. Okay, Article 29. The shareholders whose income in the comunidad, when the same is composed also of members by birth, is not at least equivalent to the minimum quota belonging to any of the zoncars and in the comunidades exclusively comprised of shareholders. When the number of shares is greater than 500, those who do not possess at least 5 shares. It is, with all the punctuations, it is a little bit lengthy, and it is required, we require some legal experts. We require Advocate Peter, we require Advocate Aurobindo, and Mr. Nelson
Actually,
also.
Nelson would be in a very good position to say
Yes,
that
because
he's
it
been-
is extremely
he's been-
technical.
yes,
And
he's been applying it.
it's slipping me up also. That's not saying much, but it's slipping me up.
I think there are two scenarios over there. One is where there is a comunidad where there is zone cars and they are shareholders.
True.
And one situation is where they are only shareholders.
As he has earlier described.
Which is a very rare sort of a situation. Over there, then the person who cannot stand or cannot be voted for, if it comes in the situation where they are only shareholders, then he should have at least 5 shares. Then only he can contest. Otherwise, not. This is what I think. Maybe it can be a little different. No, bare minimum. They can stand. This is a.
Yes, no, not a discussion though. Let the panelists take it up. Mr. Nelson.
In comunidades where there are gaunkars and shareholders, the major shareholders, that means 5 shares are not called major shareholders. The shareholders who have the maximum shares, that is, I'll take Asagaon again because, it is a point of case study for me. We have gaunkars, 200 gaunkars, and we have 350 shareholders. Now, there are certain shareholders, each of them have 30 shares, another has 26 shares, and some of them have 28 shares, etc. Only these shareholders, the major shareholders, can contest the elections in Asagaon. The gaunkars are eligible to contest without any quantum of, there is no quantum for gaunkars because they are born by birth. But the shareholders have to be major shareholders. In other comunidades, where there are 500 shareholders and all, like let me take the example of Margaon, where each of these shareholders should have a minimum of 5 shares to contest the elections. So that means a person with 1 share cannot contest the elections. But I have come across certain comunidades where there are only 12 components totally, only 12 shareholders, and each of the shareholders have only 1 share. The comunidad I'm talking here about is a comunidad called Kholim, which is close to Mapsa. It has only 12 shares only and no gaunkars at all. Okay, so here each person who has a share also, he is fit to contest the elections. So it is totally depending on the kind of situation that prevails in a given comunidad as to how they contest the elections and what is the criteria for them to contest these elections.
That's very well. Thank you so much. That was required. That was one of the burning questions, actually. So now that we are speaking of elections, we've come to the committee, and we'll quite soon wrap up after this. Now, we know that the committee is comprised of the president, the attorney, and the treasurer. So when it comes to the attorney, one thing which struck me a little bit is that the administrator has a lot of dominance over the attorney. The decisions of the attorney, or rather the decisions of the managing committee, which are then executed through the attorney, there is some kind of penal system as such upon the attorney, where if the attorney makes mistakes, then the administrator can fine the attorney. So what could be the possible protections that we can suggest which are present in the code itself or even outside, that could help, like how we have in for our government service, we have bona fide act done in good faith is protected. How can we protect our officers, our office bearers in the Comunidad from acts done in good faith, but then where they are responsible? I would like Advocate Aurobindo to take this question.
Oh, Nelson must. He is a committee member.
Because you were very pensive,
I was thinking of an answer which he should give.
which he'll give us. Okay, yes, Mr. Nelson.
The thing is, madam, I would like to answer it in this manner. I don't think the administrator has any control over the attorney. The attorney actually is the one who kind of, controls the comunidad. In our case, we think our president is our boss, and we all, value his suggestions and we work the way he directs us. Because this is my personal belief that there can only be one boss in a given institution, and in our case, in Asagaon, it's our president. We are all people working under his directions and his power. Having said that, I don't think any attorney who puts in sincere, integral work needs to fear any kind of backlash from the administrator. That backlash from not only the administrator, but also the impeachment from the Gaunkars is for those people who are not doing their work honestly.
One more thing that I noted was that the escrivãos, that is our clerks, they are ex officio members of the managing committee. For them also there is a provision of fines if they don't update their books, or if they don't note down investments, or if they don't note down things that they are supposed to note down. Is this really true in practice?
Not at all, madam. 12 escrivãos, somebody was just telling me there are 12 comunidades for a single escrivão. So technically speaking, our escrivão also goes to 5 comunidades. It's rather unfair for a single escrivão to be present in 12 different locations during the week. Okay, and I believe that until and unless this situation is not improved by the revenue department, by appointing more escrivãos, training them properly in their work, okay, and paying them properly first of all, this situation is not going to improve. So if the revenue department is not taking the action needed to train these people, to get more people on board, how can we blame them for certain mistakes that they're doing? If they are doing deliberate mistakes, then it's the job of the managing committee to oversee them and not allow them to do these mistakes. Because the escrivãos finally function at the Comunidad offices. So the only place where they can actually do harm to a specific Comunidad is when they are in the Comunidad office, not otherwise. But having said that, I feel more sympathetic to these people, because what kind of performance level you are expecting when you give a single individual 12 different Comunidades to look after?
Yes, that's very true.
It's inhuman, basically.
I have, from some of our discussions, we come to know that the Gaunkars are largely saying that these escrivãos, since they are paid salaries by the government, they do not seem to feel responsible towards the Gaunkars. So there is that alliance which is supposed to happen with the Comunidad and the escrivãos, that there is a gap sometimes in that. What can remedy this gap? If any of our younger advocates could take this up. If we can think of some kind of novel solution, what could remedy this gap? Okay, first we'll have...
The reason I'm speaking is I'm the one who is experiencing all these things. Yes. My learned friends are more into courts with respect to Comunidades, but I'm the one who's practically, looking through all these things. I don't go to court. The thing is, means for my own personal practice, I do go to court for the Comunidades matters. But the thing is, it's a problem as far as the payment is concerned, because one wrong notion is that the government is paying these escrivãos. It is the diramas that the Comunidades are paying to the administrator is what is paying the escrivãos. And depending on what diramas the administrators get, I don't think they are getting any additional support from the revenue department. In fact, I am of the firm opinion that the government wants to stop this entire Comunidad system only. They are wanting to do away with it, and we have to take the initiative to protect and preserve it. So for the government, it is very easy, when the escrimau leaves, they put in additional burden on the existing escrimaus, and it becomes very difficult. In the case of Asagaon, we took a sympathetic decision to monetize our escrimau to some extent so that she comes and does productive work in our comunidad. But I don't know how many comunidades have the funds to do that, and what they can do to elevate the problems faced by their respective escrimaus.
Any of our advocates are
You know,
going
I
to?
think it comes back to that original point. Now, the government is here to do tutelage. This escrivain, we should now say clerk. This clerk is meant to help you maintain your books, maintain your minutes books, put your accounts in order, do all your paperwork. Now, if one clerk is shuttling between several comunidades, it becomes really difficult. Imagine you juggling 5 jobs, 5 huge economies that you need to maintain books for. It's difficult. But most importantly, consider this. What are the quality of the clerks being appointed? Because this is not based on payments from Dharma. This is a government employee on the cadre getting paid a service which is coming from public money. Now, people who are appointed to these jobs is the problem, because we've made our government jobs largesses, where politicians dole them out, and therefore you see unmeritorious people taking up these positions in the first place. Whereas if you look at our code, there are specific conditions which say you must be educated to this extent, you must be able to read, write, count. And these are conditions that basically say that you should be able to discharge the job. If the comunidades get up and say, look here, we need an escrivain every day, we need a clerk sitting in our office every month to maintain our accounts, keep our books in order, you will create the jobs that the government needs to create. You will have dedicated clerks maintaining your books in accordance with law. But most importantly, you need to bring accountability. Now, if you're looking at the code and you're looking at the fines being imposed on the clerk, being imposed on the administrator, the fine is considerable. Because look at the time when the code is promulgated, look at the figure that is put as the penalty amount. It is meant to penalize a person who is not doing their job. And this is a good provision. You don't do your job, you get penalized. This brings about accountability, which every comunidad requires. It's not a boys' club, it's a public office functioning for a public purpose with the public. And therefore, these fines perhaps need to be increased. You need to look at the merit of your escrivain or your clerk and get them to do the work that's necessary. I admire that you monetized your clerk, but I don't think that's a potential for everyone. Nor do I think it's a safe method, because the salary that is being paid must be adequate to do the job that you are tasked for. It is not. Therefore, we must work to get it adequate. We must work to get the required staff and to ensure that there is transparency and accountability with our books, with the functioning. And that's the way you can do it. The penalties are already there. Apply them, enforce them, whip it into action.
I recollect that recently in our Legislative Assembly, there was an amendment whereby, not of this code, an amendment whereby penalties, fines were reduced and certain offences were decriminalized with regards to government officials. So I think we are heading in, yes, strategically. So I think we are heading in that direction. So just to conclude then, because I can see that some people would like to go for the carnival floats. That's not including me. Yes. Of course, we are aware of the powers of the Comunidad. You can have your meetings, resolutions, elections. You can assess your lands, and you can allocate lands to agriculture, etc. There is also a little bit of a task of banking and funding and investments. One of the things which an individual member is empowered to do is to report fraud. What I would say is fraud. So members are allowed to report fund-related frauds, so embellishments, to report encroachments. Do we find in the real world that members is the word, not necessarily zoneros, not necessarily only shareholders, members, do they really do this? Do they really report, do they really take advantage of the powers given to them by the code?
I don't know about the code, madam, but I was a cop in Bombay, and I had a group of 15 khabris, as they call them, you know. In each and every area, there is to be a person whom we used to pay from the police department to give us information about what is happening. So when I took over as the attorney, the first thing I did was I cultivated this group of people throughout the village of Asagaon and Bade, who inform me about any slightest thing. If somebody even brings some stones to cultivate, to build something for his own personal house also, I'm the first one who comes to know, even before the mason who's going to do the job. So with that, I go and attack the place and I ask for the papers or anything like that. And that's how we are able to stamp all illegal constructions. Having said that, all our Gaunkars and all are very, very cooperative after we have taken over. And we have a number of Gaunkars who keep coming to help us. There is a special person who came last time. I hope you all saw him. His name is John. He digitalized our entire records. There are advocates who help us at the drop of the hat. If somebody is building something, I call up some advocate and he'll quickly say, write this thing. I'll say, Doctor, I am busy. So he'll write it for me and send it to me on WhatsApp. And I just print it out and it gets done. So all these people, we are working in unison. And the thing is, we actually, you know, when we started working sincerely and with all good intent, that is when all the people started joining us and happening. So Gaunkars and all also do report encroachments. They come with us for inspections. You know, we have a special attorney who's one of the Gaunkars. We have a resident advocate plus a special attorney who helped me with all the cases. As of now, I'm fighting 44 cases a month. Okay, so it's physically impossible for me to do it. Sometimes I'm running between 3 matters per day. So in this, my special attorney, my resident advocate, sometimes my president, my treasurer, all of us, we are into inspections. We are running it like a well-oiled team, you know. So that's how it is. So this, I think, answers your question as to whether the Gaunkars are responsible or no. Yes, they are. They are very responsible.
Thank you. That's a model way of responding to that.
You know, I'm going to take advantage of this situation, and I'm sorry to the organizers, but Nelson, I'm going to take advantage of your position here, because I'm going to send you a complaint next week with an encroachment in Asagaon where there's a resort running with a fake fraudulent deed executed between the previous Comunidad and this person, and it's operating. And it's happening across Goa. But I love that you said this, and I hope you do something. So I'm going to send it to you next week, and let's test this. Because I love that you said in the beginning, we don't talk, we do. That complaint's coming to you next week. I hope you guys do something, because we filed a complaint with the village panchayat. We filed complaints, nothing happens, because it's an ex-cop. It's our people doing it to ourselves. So let's see what your Comunidad does. So I'm sorry, but I'm going to take advantage of this situation.
Don't worry, you get results.
Can we have now, Dr. wants to add something.
No, nothing but the Gaunkars are responsible. If there is any illegal construction going on, they are supposed to take action. They're supposed to file a suit or take whatever recourse they have. So they do have the power, and they're supposed to do it also. Of course, like how my colleague said, there are a lot of Comunidades where a lot of illegalities are happening and they don't report it. And then they are just built for years, and then it's very difficult to get them out afterwards. So it has to be done at the initial stages. Like how Nelson is doing it at the initial stages, before it can grow, it has to be nipped.
Yes, and they have the power to do it.
Absolutely.
Yes. So can we have some concluding remarks? We'll start with Mr. Nelson, and then we'll go in ascending order or descending order, whichever you like to say.
I think rather than talking, it's time for action now. You know, we have speakers like Mr. Sherlekar here, who has been gracious enough to guide us in the Agricultural Tenancy Act. But it all boils down to one thing. If there is no action, we can have the best speaker here and it is of no use. And on all those groups, I just see people, wasting their time taking pot shots at each other. But I want to say that if we are not united and we are not together, it's pointless. This system anyway is going to fail. the best way is to go forward being united. Our Comunidad has succeeded because we are very united with each other. You, even if I'm not around and you just take my name and you say that fellow is a chor, be sure my president and my treasurer is going to tear that person to pieces. We can't hear the wrong message about anybody because we know what we are and we are truthful to ourselves. So I say, instead of wasting time on talking useless this thing and quoting useless things, let us put our energies together to save our institution. And I started off when the previous committee was there. I used to just go every Sunday to the Comunidad. I used to be there 15 minutes before them. And when they opened the office, I would sit down there. Those people would get irritated looking at me, because I was prying into what they were doing. Okay, but there are favorable committees who are very sincere about what they do, and they will welcome you as a Gaonkar or a shareholder coming to them because you will be additional help for them. Now the Gaonkars who come to our Comunidad are all additional help to us, and they are part of our success story. So each individual has the power to make a change. Only thing is you have to get out there in the muck and do the dirty work initially. And then it becomes so nice that, everything falls in place for you. So please get out there instead of just complaining and, coming up with, I call them paper tigers, those ones who keep on, commenting things on the WhatsApp and are no good. If you ask them for their report card, they have not achieved anything. But they make big speeches and all that thing and keep on calling, Are, you said this and I said this and you're wrong and this and all. So that doesn't work. You have to be a man of action. Finally, you won't be remembered for the words you speak, but the actions you have put in through your life. Thank you.
I don't think anything left to be said after Nelson's given us so much of positivity. I urge, I will send it to you, don't worry. But I urge each and every one of you to listen to him, get into the muck, plow your fields, grow your grain, harvest it, enjoy it. This Gaonkari is an agrarian economy, bring back the agriculture. Bring back our rice, bring back our vegetables, bring back our fruits. And I hope there are a lot of people there willing to help you, not just Gaonkars and Zonekars and shareholders, but an entire community from across the world will come into your fields. Just let us come in and plow them and make some good food for all of us to enjoy. Yeah? Thank you.
I would only say that, if you see the Comunidades right now, they're not very united. There are a lot of fights which are happening. And that is one big reason. Also, each and every Comunidad is not as active as Asaka, and they're doing a fabulous job. And I think it should be a model Comunidad so that other Comunidades can pick up from it. The Comunidades, what I feel right now are doing big mistakes is they don't raise good points when it goes to court. Even if you say tenancy cases or any illegal construction, the Comunidad, they go represent over there. They will take pleas before the Mamaldar saying that the act doesn't apply or the Agricultural Tenancy Act is illegal. Then they lose those cases because you cannot raise such questions. You have to be a little technical. You have to raise grounds in which you can succeed. You can say that he's not a tenant.
Yeah, during evidence, you cannot do this.
Yes, you have to say that he has not paid rent. But you cannot go and say, no, this whole act is illegal, it doesn't apply, the land revenue code doesn't apply. All those things will not work. So I think the Comunidades have to think and work strategically to get their land back rather than making emotional, sort of submissions.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, our learned friends. And just to conclude, a quote that I had come across, that Comunidades are not lessees of when it came to the Portuguese government. They were not lessees of the Portuguese government, nor does the state hold title to the land. And I think this is something that resonates with so many of you. But at the same time, we have to understand that a Comunidad is not a state. It's not a state in the same sense that our constitution says what a state is under Article 12. So with that, those questions should also be put to rest. It is fine to have an academic discussion, but to expect that there should be some kind of headway in the direction of challenging land revenue code, for instance. I think that is some of the discussion that happens. it is fine to have an academic discussion, but finally our comunidades are within India, and India is the sovereign. So with those concluding remarks, I hope we've had a good discussion here. It is open now for queries, and I think I had asked him to make a note. Wait, I had asked him to make a note.
Yeah. Before we get into the queries, a kind suggestion to please keep your questions close-ended as far as possible, not open-ended, so that we have a never-ending debate, because that's what's been happening since morning.
Yeah,
So
him.
kindly respect that and let us go ahead with that attitude.
Wait, blue check
Yes.
shirt. He was.
I wanted a clarification on one item. This payment of a zone, it's two payments actually. A zone car gets zone and a shareholder gets a dividend.
Yes.
Right. From my understanding, but please correct me if I'm wrong, if you do not collect a zone for 3 years in a row, then that lapses. Okay, on the fourth year, you can go and collect on the fourth year, but the 1 year's zone will lapse. So that is my understanding. However, when it comes to collecting dividends on shares, that is where it goes for 10 years. That you can collect for the previous 10 years in one go. Having said that, the dividend is against the share, not who holds the share. For example, I might hold a share and I might have sold it to XYZ. And I might have not collected for 4 years. The new owner of the share is eligible to collect for the past 10 years, whatever is uncollected share. Am I correct about this, or is there something else that...
No. The thing is, first of all, once you collect your zone for a specific year, after that you have to write your name in the book again for the preceding year. If you do not write your name in the book, which is submitted to the administrator, you are not eligible for the zone.
So the zone does expire after
It
that.
does expire after 1 year. So you have to come and write it there.
Yeah.
See, I told you there was a very specific reason during COVID where our people couldn't come. So that time we accepted digital this thing. It was a genuine reason because we didn't even expect the older people to come, because so many of them had various type of mortality, various type of complications. Like, people had diabetes, they had pressure, they had so many things, So it was actually putting them to risk if they had to leave their house and travel and come to this thing. So that was a very special case. That's why we took it into consideration and we allowed them to collect their zones in the next year. But technically speaking, if you are collecting your zone this year and you're not writing it in the book for the next year, then you're not eligible to get that zone.
Okay.
And as far as shareholders also, the same principle goes through. Only thing is, the allowance here is that normally we ask the shareholder to bring a certificate, either a notarized certificate or a Xerox copy also, to prove that the share belongs to him. Now, many a times these share certificates are held by, say, the mother or the father of the children who are working abroad in Australia or UK. At that time, they have to give us a like authority letter signed by them. So now with this digital age, what happens is they can write the letter, sign it, send it on WhatsApp, and a printout of that is kept with us as a proof. Otherwise, tomorrow they can easily say that I did not receive my share, after we paying it also. So then the mother or the father has to come with that share certificate, has to sign there. Now, Asagaon Comunidad has initiated direct zone transfer to the bank account of the Gaonkars and the shareholders. So any shareholder who has less than 10,000, that means we are giving 2,500 per share. So if the person has 5 shares and the value is 10,000, then we'll transfer the 10,000 to the bank account. And for the zone cards, we are transferring the amount because it is above 10,000. It is, as per the IT income tax rules, anything above 10,000 has to be transferred to the account. So last year, the zone given by us was 12,500. So all these zones have been transferred straight to the accounts of the Gaonkars. But yet, they have to come there. Their details of the banks and everything are with the Comunidad, and we just give a directive to the, we give a kind of a directive to the bank that so many zones have to be paid this week. But the people have to come and sign, because then afterwards they'll say that we did not receive it. And now they are not even getting it in cash. It is a direct bank transfer. And supposing they have got 3 payments of 12,500, they'll say we did not receive the Comunidad payment. These are my personal payments. There has to be a distinguishing. Of course, there will be a the bank account and all will be there, come from the Comunidad of Vasagao. But still we require the signature, because we submit these books to the auditors and then we pay our income tax on the basis of this. So these zones are pre-taxed, correct, Mr. President? They are pre-taxed. So we pay the tax on this and then we transfer the zone. So there is no, once the Gaonkars or they receive it, it is tax paid kind of zone. Yeah, they can claim it in there, this thing. So that is how it is.
Yes. Are you satisfied with that? Yeah. So in cases of doubt, my favorite thing to do is to look at the law. So if you look at Article 21 of the code is very clear. It says personal, inalienable, and imprescriptible. Imprescriptible is the one that might confuse us a little bit, but it essentially means prescription does not apply. Means efflux of time will not defeat your right. It's inalienable. Means, as I said before, that share, that zone had to be kept aside for you to come and collect it. If you look at subclause 1, placetum 1 of that, it simply says you need 2 things to collect your zone. One is your original primary enrollment and your annular enrollment. 2 says you can be disqualified from collecting a zone only under 379, which is your exceptions for certain acts that exclude you from participating in elections, etc. So it's an exception. And lastly, subclause 3, which answers your question, says it will get prescriptive to the government only if it lasts for 10 years, which gives you ample time. So what's happening is something that's strange, where they're denying you your zone. Your zone is otherwise kept aside, and you had the right to come and collect it anytime. I see Jan Mark's hand up. Then you're not entitled. Correct.
No, but there have been cases wherein you go to the Comunidad, they're giving out they say no, we cannot give you because you have. This is again shares.
For shares, you have to have an annual enrollment.
No. For shares, there's no.
Shares don't have enrollment.
Shares don't have enrollment.
If you're looking at 21 is specifically for zone.
And collected. And by virtue of that, not even allowing them to register for the.
These
Shareholders don't have to register.
Shareholders don't have to register.
They should exercise their rights. Challenge it.
Yeah, should approach the administrator with a complaint.
Challenge it.
Yeah.
Challenge it. File a complaint. File a complaint against your managing committee, against your clerk. Anyone who denies you, penalize them. Use your law.
This is, I needed clarity on this, that's why.
21 is for zone, I said. Zone is specific.
Zone is specific and.
The share is a charge on the community. Similar rules would apply. It's a charge on you're entitled to it. And anyone who denies you is violating the law. Penalize them.
And about collecting zone also, you can authorize someone else to collect also.
Simple process.
And register your name for the following year. So that's not an issue. It comes when it is
Yeah, registration is only in the month of
your
May.
dividend, which quite often is, and some, because the dividends are
No,
high.
dividend you don't.
Very. Look at Kalangut. Look at, it's massive.
But that not
Church,
paid
yeah, no.
dividend for the last 5 years.
See how complex our agrarian society was. Fabulous.
Okay.
You require both it's not only the primary,
Yeah,
even,
registration is actually to
Yes.
be done during the month of May.
yes, annual also is required.
I was appointed for the first time as an attorney of Lutholi Comunidad in 2003. And when my term expired in 2007, till today, I am the special attorney of the Comunidad. Like Nelson, we also are fighting around 42 cases, with 7 cases in the High Court which are represented by Advocate Nigel. We also have kept all encroachers at bay till today. So, my this thing point is I'm a bit deviating from the functioning because I'm very well aware of all the functioning. Now, just now Madam said, like the title of the lands of the Comunidad do not vest in the state. And Advocate Aurobindo also has said, it is there in the code, that government has got only tutelage. But we have seen that time and again, amendment to amendments over amendments are being done, which are detrimental to the interests of the Comunidad. And we can do nothing about it. So I wanted a suggestion from the advocates on that point.
See,
About the amendments being done to the code which are detrimental to our interests. Nelson also will be aware, I don't know, even the latest that Majegar scheme also, they have brought it as an amendment. So what are, when they bring it as an amendment, even though they don't hold title and they hold only tutelage, so what are we to do about it?
see, there's nothing like how you said that you cannot do anything. You can definitely do something. If there is an amendment which is taking away the right of the Comunidad, you can challenge it. You can challenge it in the High Court.
They have done that already.
Yes.
It is challenge, but
So-
they claim that in the tutelage gives them the right.
You have to say that the amendment which has
Because
been put
they claim that
is
whatever
illegal.
amendments are being done are
Yes.
in the interest of the Comunidad.
Absolutely.
So in the courts also now, like we have so frustrated at times, like we don't even have this thing on the courts, because they also like keep more weightage on the government AGs who argue than the other advocates.
No, but don't lose hope, because if you all don't fight, nobody else is going to fight.
There had to be at least some correspondence made or some meetings taken.
Which is absolutely good for you all, because there was no correspondence. You all can have a good ground to challenge that.
Yeah, we have challenged that. Now see, I'll just read out. I put a RTI once the Majegar scheme came. I'll just read out. There are a few points that I had put in. The notification which had come in 1985, where it was obligated on the administrator to carry out quarterly inspections in respect of all comunidades regarding encroachments. Now, I have asked under RTI the list of quarterly inspections that have been held. Then one second is a detailed study of the administrator in procuring data of encroachments in Comunidad lands. All data collected and in possession of the administrator to unauthorized constructions of dwelling houses in Comunidad lands, and correspondence received from the government or made to the government in respect to this Majegar scheme. Now, these were asked by me because of the Majegar scheme introduced. I did not receive any reply from the administrator, from the PIO. Now, the PIO is supposed to be the head clerk. Now, the first appellate authority is the administrator. So, I filed an first appeal before the administrator because I was not given any reply. He has not even called me for an appeal. No notice also has come. So, now I have filed it before the commission. And the notice has come. Now, next month is the hearing. So, I am expecting that. My thing to say is, when they bring out a scheme or bring out any amendment to the code, at least the Comunidad should be taken into consideration, or at least some meeting should be held where these things are conveyed.
Absolutely. So that's what I'm saying. All these grounds you can raise, that you all were not taken into confidence, you all were not consulted, and you all can challenge. And I think it is challenged also. I think Advocate Nigel only has challenged.
Yeah, he
that
also has
act.
challenged. And another thing is, in 1995, there was a notification which was bought, wherein there was even supposed to be a penalty to be imposed on any illegal constructions on Comunidad lands. Subsequent to that, even in 2013, the penalty was increased. And now they bring in a scheme to regularize all the illegal constructions. So Whereas they have not taken any action on the illegal construction. Now our Lotoli Comunidad itself has got at least around 15 cases pending before the administrator of illegal encroachments and illegal construction. Till date they are not even being decided. And now they are trying to put the umbrella of Majegar scheme over them.
Very true. Don't worry, something will work out. You'll have challenged in the court, something positive will come
I have
out.
to just dwell on that. If there is one application for that there is an encroachment, in what manner is it disposed of? This application will lie with the administrator, and in what manner it will be disposed of? Does the administrator make demolition orders?
No, this is, you're talking about Majegar, madam?
No, I'm talking about any kind of illegal
It's a very lengthy
encroachment.
process. If somebody has already built an encroachment, it's a very lengthy process. Even not only on Comunidad land, even on
Because
normal
we will
this
go
thing
through
also.
the village panchayat and we will seek demolition in that from that direction.
No, that depends on the sarpanch totally. If he or she
Under the code, what is the relief?
again, relief is, it's very difficult to happen.
So we'd rather go through the
specifically
panchayat itself.
first you have to see, first we have to see whether the attorney himself is supporting the illegal construction. That is number one. Okay, if he is supporting it, you can't do anything because he won't complain. If he doesn't complain, the administrator won't take any action.
But the administrator is supposed to, under the code.
Yeah, he's supposed to. But if the attorney is not supporting and he complains to the administrator will see the religion of the person. Okay, and will see whether the person is this or that. Okay, and then he will decide whether he has to take action or no. If he doesn't want to take action, you can't do anything about it. If he wants to take action, then you go to the court and there's a lengthy process once again. Okay, because as soon as they go to the administrator, we complain to the panchayat, panchayat gives a demolition order, they go to the directorate of panchayat. From there they go even further to the civil court, to the high court, and it will be 30 years before you know you're not even there to see the demolition. Okay, so it's a very difficult process. I believe in nipping the things in the bud only, before the construction comes in only. I've done 18 demolitions by myself, judge, jury and all, everything me only. Okay.
Congratulations on that.
So the thing is, I think that works the best, you know, because I have very less less faith in courts, though I have gone to law college for 5 years. It's, I really have no this thing in court. So it's like that. It's a very difficult process to get demolitions. Very difficult.
Agreed. We have ourselves taken matters to conclusion.
As per the administrator conducts an inspection, or he asks the attorney to conduct an inspection and submit a report, then he will issue notice, show cause notice under Article 372. And then he starts conducting hearings, just like additional director. And those hearings continue, and especially in South Goa, we are having a new administrator every 3, 4 months. The administrators keep on being transferred. They are only put there as a punishment thing there. Otherwise, if they have influence, they put in influence, they are gone. So the cases are never decided. By the time the new administrator comes, by the time he just takes up one hearing, the next hearing, another administrator is coming.
So, sir,
I am saying that from 2012 till today, there are about 15 cases pending of us.
Sir, I
Still in the same initial stage.
I completely feel your angst, because illegal construction is a major issue over here. Encroachment is an issue over here. The code does provide for encroachment, but illegal construction specifically comes, as my learned friend said, through the village panchayat. But I must tell you that the climate has changed. Illegal construction is one of the issues that I work extensively in, and I do believe the climate has changed, because now it's very difficult for an illegality to survive, because the high courts have issued directions, the Supreme Court has issued directions. As of recently, 2024, 2025, we are seeing directions. Our High Court, the Bombay High Court, has got 2 suo motu writ petitions pending on illegal constructions, where they're going village to village, asking not just for identification, but for compliances. The climate has changed. It is possible to get it done. I understand our system is not what we expect it to be. We are disgusted by it. Let's not mince words. We're disgusted. But it changes only when we change our approach. So push it. Move it forward. I have tried and it is working. Have you challenged it? Good. Pursue your writ. Get your friends to challenge it as well. Because if the Supreme Court says illegal constructions are violation of public law, then what business does the state have in enacting a law that legitimizes illegalities?
Yes.
It does not have that power. And where would they get that power from to violate law? So therefore, please wake up and do the needful. And everyone will support you because the climate is changing.
So India is a republic of various states.
Yes.
We had the state of Rajasthan, Saurashtra, Maharashtra, Mysore, Travancore, and henceforth. Now, as a republic, each states have their own laws. How well are our Comunidad laws enforced in this republic? Now this MP and Justice Rebello wants to bring new laws. Are they laws, bringing new laws is the problem, or enforcement of the laws are the problem?
I think, good
Can
sir,
you give light on that, what is happening?
you have the answer within your question. And I think you're a very perceptive individual because you framed it in such a nice way. There's nothing wrong with our law. Look at our code, it's beautiful. It defines every eventuality, provides for it, and gives us remedies in case we are unhappy with the solution. So there is good law. The problem is the way we're implementing it. There's nothing wrong with our Comunidad system except participation. Look around the room. Where is the youth? Where are your sons? Where are your daughters? Where is the next generation of Gaunkars? We have forgotten who we are. And I love that you keep raising it. And please, sir, always raise it in every room, every time. I look at the Gaunkari as a republic in its hyper sense. The Gaunkari is not just an owner of land, not just a custodian of the land. It is the village and all its villagers. But until you're willing to accept that definition of village and all its villagers, it might be difficult for you to realize true republicanism. So, but I urge you, please keep doing this. More power to you, sir.
One question. Can the president remove the attorney if he is working against the interests of the Comunidad?
The president can't remove the attorney, but the Gaunkars can remove the attorney. It's as good as the impeachment of the president of India. Impeachment, it's called impeachment if there is hardcore proof that the attorney is doing wrong and is indulging in, action which is harming the Comunidad. Then the Gaunkars in a general body called by even 5 Gaunkars can impeach the attorney and take him out of this thing. You have to pass a resolution with the majority in the Gaunkar, in the general body, and pass the resolution to the administrator. The attorney is gone. Simple as that. Yeah, administrator. So that's what I'm saying. But the impeachment has to happen in the general body.
Without general body, if the administrator will give an opportunity to the attorney to reply, and if he finds that there is a thing, he can remove.
No, agree. That is when the administrator takes suo moto cognizance of the wrong of the attorney.
Not so on a complaint. Now he says president has removed. No?
Yeah.
The president makes a complaint to the administrator after giving him opportunity and finding him guilty, he can remove him. A general body resolution is not required. There is no way in the code.
That's what I was given to understand. I stand corrected. Thank you.
My belief is, one, of course, the power of the Comunidad is, of course, defined by one's will and also the coffers that you're backed by. Which is why Asagaon can behave like Uncle Trump and still get away, while we come from a very poor Comunidad, similar to some country in Africa, and my friend here probably from the Congo Basin. No, so having said that, what are the avenues that a Comunidad have to raise money? Because funding is a very important need. When you're fighting 42 cases, you can't have an individual pump in that kind of money.
Yes.
Now, the Comunidad that I belong to, we don't have land. We just have fields. And most of them are fallow, or all of them are fallow. Which village is this? Probably. So, in this sort of a situation...
Which village is this?
Varka. So, we really don't know how to raise money. And we are a very new Comunidad. We just activated it last year after 20 years.
Yes.
So, we wanted some guidance on how to raise funds. Is it possible to convert the Comunidad and get it to behave like a cooperative, where produce from the farmers are picked in by the
Absolutely,
Comunidad and
yeah.
then sold out?
Absolutely.
And the margin is made, hence you build coffers, and then that will allow you to
Absolutely.
fight cases.
Yes. You have hit the nail right on the head. each person has to devise his own means of raising funds. There is no set rule in this. We had roads in Asagaon which we monetized by easementary rights, okay, which are, in some places, temporary easementary rights. For most cases, it is temporary easementary rights. And some we have given easementary rights because we have given it to multiple people. The same road we have done easementary agreements so that they can use the road. Having said that, the road will always belong to the Comunidad. The villages of the Asagaon will always be able to use the road. And yet those guys will have to pay us. Others will block their access to the roads. Okay, but what you are saying, you have got fallow fields. Please try this thing of the, generating income from there. Form a cooperative. Take some effort, do some study, and you will be successful. Every situation has a solution, but the problem is we focus too much on the problem and we don't see the solution. Just sit down quietly in a corner and see what you can do, and see you'll do wonders, 100%.
Thank you.
There's nothing that is unachievable, nothing at all.
I'm president of Nerul Comunidad. So regarding Majangar scheme, we had a lot of people coming to us, applicants looking for, and they brought the form. They said the local MLA gave them the forms. So we asked them for any documentation. They only had a voting card and Aadhaar card, nothing else. We asked them to produce their birth certificates. Birth certificates were all, and their names also were all from North India, South India, nothing here. But they say they are living here for the last 20 years, 25 years. So we took a resolution that they should get their report from their local collector from their native place, as well as a Talati's report. Then we will go through that and we will re-verify that with their, within their state and wherever. And we took a resolution that until and unless they can prove that they are from Goa, an original Goan, because out of these 25, 28 people, there were only 2 Goans. Rest were all non-Goans. So we put them apart, push them away with this. And we also passed a resolution in the general body, and we'll be writing to the administrators. Now after that, no one has come again with all that.
Are you all part of the case that we have filed in the High Court?
We are filing now.
You all are filing separately?
Yeah, separately.
So then if you are against the Majaghar, then you cannot give any this thing. You can't go against your own this thing when you file against this
we
thing.
have taken this resolution.
Yeah, so I mean, you're doing well then. Whatever you have, that's a solution basically.
Yeah, that's a solution.
Don't accept any forms. Even if they go ahead,
we have not taken
constitutionally it's a wrong this thing. It's a wrong amendment. So when it's challenged in court, it will fall through. All this is a big gimmick only to kind of, entice the voters. Once the election is done, even Parikar had put it in the cold storage, and this guy is no different. He'll also put it in the cold storage
Nobody
only.
has come out
It's totally illegal. In one state, Hemanta Biswas and Yogi Adityanath is going with the bulldozer to demolish all the illegal structures, and the same double-engine government here is trying to regularize these structures. How is it going to work? Not only that, 19 out of the 27 states have voted against illegal structures. And how is it going to work in Goa? It's not possible. This is just an election gimmick, but we should not give up on our efforts to make sure that they don't regularize this thing. Understand? We have to be very
It
firm.
won't happen.
Okay, one last.
If you're from Nerul, you have another problem coming into your waters very soon.
Yeah,
Please be vigilant. A big boat's coming by to your village.
Qasim.
I think that's a bigger problem.
Yeah, my question is at every meeting and every program we are having, this question comes that the deemed ownership under 18K, the tenant is given Comunidad land at 40 paise. Now, the thing is, can we challenge this as far as the quantum is concerned, 40 paisa, okay? Now let us assume a case where in Shishini, a highway is being broadened and the fields are being paid per square meter, 5,000 per square meter. Now this question is, there are two parts to it. Whether this thing giving change of ownership, whether it is legal, whether we can challenge it, because I was given to understand that finally under that 18K, that whole this one affidavit was given by Mr. Rane at that time, and it was placed in the 9th schedule. Whether we can challenge it, because at every meeting we are having this problem that Comunidad land is being frittered away at 40 paisa. But are we doing anything about it? Now, even at this stage, can we approach the High Court or even the higher court? How can we get around this what do you call that, a catch-22 situation.
So the thing is, Mr. Sherlekar has already told us anything with 18K can be challenged, and there is an amendment now 31A which the assembly has put forth, where they say that the usage of the land cannot be changed. Under that article, you can challenge it, definitely. How can they just acquire the land if it's under 18K? They can't acquire the land. And another thing is, first I think you should register your protest that you are not willing to give the land, and then you have to challenge it, because they are changing the entire the land usage, which is actually they themselves have made a amendment in the assembly that the land usage cannot be changed. So under that it's very pertinent that you challenge the amendment and say that if this amendment is true, then on what basis is the government trying to acquire that land and change the entire the usage of the land? You can do it, 100%.
One minute, I don't know whether I've made myself understandable to you. See, my question is about the 40 paise, which is given under the Agricultural Tenancy Act.
Yes.
Okay, as a deemed owner.
Yes.
So land is being given to the tenant at 40 paise.
Yes.
Okay, and when the government acquires the land for maybe acquisition, any other purpose, or even road widening, they pay 5,000. Now my question is whether we can challenge the quantum which is being paid, which was valued at some maybe 40 years back at 40 paise. You know, we should be getting 4,000 or 5,000. This is one point. Secondly, whether this legislation is a social legislation, you are only changing the ownership from one ownership to another ownership.
Yeah.
In which case, you know, an affidavit was given by Mr. Rane at that time, who was the chief minister.
Yeah.
And this thing was said that they put the clause that.
No, but even if it is 18K, it doesn't take the right of the Comunidad away.
No. I'm only challenging the quantum. People are buying it only because it's
okay. You want an increased compensation, that means. So you are agreeing to give this thing for a public utility.
At worst, if we cannot challenge, if we cannot strike down the law, at least we should get a proper compensation. Why are people taking it? Why is the tenant? Just because it's at 40 paise.
So make a representation, no then. Make a representation. As far as the challenging of the Tenancy Act is concerned, that we are going to do in the Supreme Court. We are doing it.
Now representation to whom?
No, you are saying that you want an increased quantum of the 5,000 rupees, right?
Yeah. At least that will prevent these people, the tenant, from taking it for peanuts.
So that's what. So we will have to challenge it in the Supreme Court. Only then. We are challenging the entire law only.
Okay, then
See, there's no point in making local representations. The order has to come from a superior court. Then it will be enforced here. It has to be done. And we are doing it. Asagaon is doing it 100%. We've already appointed the advocate.
You count me with you.
Okay.
With little way I can help.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
I will just one.
But
no, we are challenging the entire law. See, there are two aspects to it. There are auctioneers who are actually, what is the Agricultural Tenancy Act? Is for crops which are grown and harvested on a regular basis. So the auctioneers, that is the kaskars who have been given the right of tenancy, are actually, there's a suspect situation there, because it is not going in with the rule of, standing crops. So in that issue, we are going to challenge the auctioneers once and all, because Asagaon per se is affected both by the fallow fields which are there also, which are not being cultivated, and the kaskars also, which are not even going for the excise auction. So I've got the entire list of all those people who used to take the excise auction, but now nobody is even plucking the cashew fruit also. So we want to challenge the entire tenancy law only as being detrimental to the interests of the Comunidad. It's already been challenged in the High Court and it's been set aside. So now we want to go to the Supreme Court. And there is a precedence in that Jagjit Singh, 2011, where they say that community lands are not supposed to be used for other purposes. So why should we not use that precedence in the Supreme Court only to bring it? And there are various High Court Haryana, High Court Allahabad High Court also, and Madras High Court also have clearly stated that community land should not be used for other purposes. So we are going to cite all that precedence. See, I'm meeting the advocate on the 11th of March and I will get a clear picture as to what he says about it. I'm specially going to Delhi for that reason. So let's see what comes out of it. See, I'm going to try everything that is there in my ambit to try and do something. No, but we are challenging the law only of tenancy. We don't want that tenancy to come to be enforced on the Comunidad lands. So all those retrospectively, we are trying to cancel all those purchases which are done also. And where, let's try, no, see, somebody's challenged it in the High Court, okay, but it did not yield results. That doesn't mean we are not going to try it for it, no. Now we have got the money, so at least we have no excuses that it can't be done. Thank you. We've always tried everything. See, this entire life of ours is a continuous process of trial. Otherwise, neither you would have got up today morning, nor I would have got up. We would have been lazing in our beds. We are hopeful that things will happen. That's why you have come here. That's why I have come here. Correct, no? So our life revolves around hope. Umeed pe duniya kayam hai, they say. If there was no hope, there was no life. So we have to keep trying. What the result is not in our hands. That is in his hands. Okay, but if you don't try, at the end of the day, when you're sitting on your wheelchair and you're old, you should not be repentful as to what you have not done. Rather than you should be happy of what you have done and you have not got the results, at least. Correct, no?
Just to answer, I might take a different opinion over here. But I think what Sir had asked, it is very difficult to challenge that provision of giving that 40 paise per square meter. Because that whole act has been put in the 9th schedule of the Constitution. So challenging it, even the whole act, you can challenge whatever you all want. You can file a case for anything. But whether you would succeed is something which you have to see. And I don't think it's a very difficult case because it says only you can't challenge it. So I do not think it's going to work and you cannot challenge. This is what I feel.
Advocate, Advocate, yeah, what about the 40 paisa?
You can try, but you cannot say it's illegal or it doesn't. You cannot challenge that provision. But you can try asking for enhancement. Yes, that can be done. At least that will have a good ground. But challenging the whole act is, I think, a little bit...
Advocate, would that amount to it being almost prohibitory?
It is.
If
The 9th
you
schedule,
make it...
laws in the 9th schedule cannot be challenged.
No, in the sense that if this 40% is adjusted for inflation and it becomes, say, a 5,000 as per fair price 2013, then would it almost be prohibitory for a tenant, for a tiller, to purchase that property then? 40 paisa makes it easier, 5,000 makes it almost prohibitory.
Why? If he wants the land, he should pay for it. It's as simple as that. Yes, to 40 paisa is too less. Yes. That can be a ground where you can try to increase it. If he wants the land, he should pay for it. It's as simple.
So, I just want to make a small interjection, if I may. I have a little different opinion, and it's essentially this. Regarding the 40 paisa, it's frozen in time. It's frozen onto tiller day, which is in 1975. And it's frozen there because precisely this is a beneficial legislation meant to benefit the tiller. Now, that's why the price is frozen over there, whereas when you're looking at what he's getting in land acquisition or any other process, he's getting it because of the Fair Compensation Act of 2014, which enhances the acquisition value. You're getting solatium at 300%, it's much better. But that's the right that has accrued since 1975 onwards. Now, I really hope, and inshallah, the Comunidad of Asagaon does succeed. But when you look at the 9th schedule, my learned friend is absolutely right. I consider that a black hole in Indian constitutionalism, and it was created to be a black hole. Because when Nehru came out with his first tiller reforms, it was challenged, it was set aside, because it violates your fundamental right to property. So they broke your fundamental right under Article 31, moved that right from Part 3, and took it all the way to 300 in the Constitution. And therefore, today you're prohibited to challenge any statute in the 9th schedule. Both our Agriculture Tenancy and Munkar Act are in that schedule. And I think it's ridiculous that you put a provision within our Constitution saying that you cannot test this law on the Constitution. It seems very unconstitutional. But this is a problem done in the past that we must now live with. And therefore, Precisely. It's pittance. My suggestion is this, and I think this might have more value. Because let's look at this Agriculture Tenancy Act. It has destroyed the Comunidades. More importantly, it's destroyed agriculture. Where is the food? Where is the Goan rice? Where is the Goan vegetables? Where is the Goan fruit? It's disappeared from the market. And they gave a nice exemption to them. A very nice exemption. And therefore, I urge them to try this because it's necessary, but it will most likely not give us the result we want. But rather use the Agricultural Tenancy Act itself. Look at your comunidad, see which lands are not cultivated, see which lands have not been cultivated for so many years. Apply the reversion. We wanted tenancy reforms for agriculture, but agriculture has destroyed itself. Revive your agriculture by doing the reversion and bringing that land under cultivation. You might spend less money and get better results.
I think
Think
reversion
about it.
is a great point to conclude this
Yes.
this
Everyone's
symposium on, because reversion is an actual good remedy.
It does to the comunidad. No, no. It reverts to the Batkar, which in this case is the comunidad. Read the provision. The government does not own land, and the government does not own the comunidad's land. This parentis parentae is guardianship to help you administer. It doesn't become the owner. Let's not bring in those common law principles to our civil law state. Number one, they don't own the land. Who is the owner of the land? And if reversion has to happen, it goes to the owner. The only question that remains is who is the owner? When the tenant filed its claim, the tenant filed the claim against whom? Government or the comunidad? And if the comunidad is there, it is the comunidad should get the land. And if they are denying you the land, fight for it. It is your right. And if they have not, if they paid you 40 paisa, let us be fair. They paid you 40 paisa. They've got a purchase order in their favor. And then they've converted their land into a hotel. Is that acceptable? If they have sold their land, if they've converted their land to a non-agricultural purpose, most importantly, if they have developed the land, it's a clear-cut case.
The tenancy law is very beautiful. Son becomes a tenant of the father. You can become a tenant of a temple. The president of Hakumdad becomes a tenant of Hakumdad.
That is why I'm telling you, sir, look at the beauty and use the beauty to your advantage.
Why do we have other laws?
Take the beautiful provisions and use it to your advantage. You bought the land, you are supposed to till the land. If you don't till the land, it reverts. Invoke your rights. Take the beautiful law and use it.
You know, just to answer your query over there, no. Nelson also had pointed out something. You can, under 18K, if he converts it, you can use the Change of Land Use Act and you can get it back. So you all have to work smart and see how to get the land back.
I had wished that, Swapnesh Sheldekar would have finished his presentation. We hardly allowed him to do that. And all of this would have nicely been addressed. But alas, now we have reached towards the end. Yeah. Thank you.
So nonetheless, this brings us to the end of this panel discussion. At first, I'd like to thank our panelists, Mr. Nelson, Advocate Aurobindo, and Advocate Peter, not forgetting our moderator, Advocate Siola Vaz, for being here, sharing your expertise, your experience, and your knowledge with us, and also for bearing with us and interacting with the crowd. Next, I'd like to thank all of you lovely people for staying through to the end of the program. I know it's a very festive day for us, being Carnival, but the fact that you are here and still seated and still an occupant of your lovely chair, I'd like to say that it's nice to have such people having hope of a better tomorrow, at least in terms of the Comunidad. I would also love to extend our thanks to the Comunidad of Asagaon, not forgetting all those involved in organizing today's program. Done a great job. I won't be taking any names, so please excuse me for that. Last but not the least, I'd like to thank Josel. These programs that we have occasionally every once in 2 or 3 months is his brainchild and his idea of uniting the Comunidades, and I hope it continues to be a success. And definitely with support like yours, even though we're small in numbers, I'm sure the numbers are yet to grow. So yes, best of luck to all of us. Thank you. Please be there for the next program. One very important person I forgot to thank is Father Agnello Gomes for having given us the premise. It happens to be an institution that I was associated with and studied in, and it's been 10 years since I've been back here and amazed at what it's become from what it was. So thank you, Father, for giving us the premise for today. And looking forward to maybe having more programs out here with your blessing. So thank you once again. This is Nino Correa signing off. Until next time, take care, stay safe, and God bless.